Reach across the great divide.
What Rick Mercer speaks about is awareness, and about bringing awareness to an issue that is often held in the dark and held in the closet. And that is the fact that numerous students who attend our schools, and numerous teachers who teach in our schools, and members of our communities, no matter where we find one another, are members of the LGBTQ community. And in recognition of that, the BC Ministry of Education has made some statements. They've stated that educators are aware of how race and culture and ethnicity, of sex and gender, sexual orientation, abilities impact students' access and their success at school. These particular things are also likely to make an individual the target of discrimination and a victim of harassment and violence. There was a survey done by the McCreary Center, and they did a survey in British Columbia dealing with lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender youth in BC. Some of the key findings were that 46% of gay and lesbian youth have attempted suicide at least once. The average age of the youth attempting suicide was 13 years of age. In the past year, at this time it was 2008, a quarter of the youth surveyed had already attempted suicide. Almost 40% of gay and lesbian youth have dramatically low self-esteem, and 61% of the youth surveyed have already been physically abused. 37% of gay and lesbian youth feel like outsiders in their own schools, and 2/3 often feel that they are subjected to homophobic remarks made by other students at their schools. And I'll take a moment to tell you a brief story that arose out of the community meeting that we had. We invited students, and some came with their parents, teachers, members of the community to come and talk about this issue at the LTA office. And one of the stories that was told was of a young girl who transferred schools. She'd come into one of our schools in Langley, and being an openly gay, lesbian young lady herself, she heard a comment that she thought was offensive. And so she approached the person quietly to say that she felt that the comment was inappropriate. In response to that, the group of individual students thought it was amusing to harass her and took their lunch and threw it in her face as a way to expel her and to get rid of her. We asked her at that meeting, seeing that that was the outcome, if she felt she'd made the right decision to come forward and to be outspoken and to address the concern as she saw it. Her answer was, yes, because if I hadn't done it, I would have been a bystander. I would have stood by and given my tacit approval to saying that what you are doing and the comments you are making are okay. They are acceptable to me. She chose not to do that. No. She bore the consequences of it, but she still feels she made the right decision. That takes courage. When we talk about LGBTQ youth, 1 in 5 of them have also been physically assaulted due solely to their sexual orientation. 20% of LGBTQ students and almost 10% of non-LGBTQ students are reported being physically harassed or assaulted simply because of their gender identity. What's interesting here is that many students identify as being straight, so to speak, but if they are perceived to be different in any way, then they are classed with that lower caste of students who might possibly fit into the LGBTQ group, and therefore they suffer the same harassment. 64% of students identified as lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgendered, two-spirited, queer, and questioning always feel unsafe at school. And 60% of students with LGBTQ parents fit into the same category. There's a fantastic new survey, the first of its kind in Canada, called the EGAL survey, which looks at gay teens and how they feel in the school situation. Again, this is a cross-Canada survey. It's just been released in December of 2011, and they state that 74% of transgendered students have suffered verbal harassment. 55% of sexual minority students and 26% of non-LGBTQ students report being verbally harassed about their gender expression. This leads us to the sad state of affairs that happened in North when Asman Jabbar was a student who was a victim of harassment in regard to LGBTQ issues. He was a grade 12 student at the time, and he suffered fierce atrocities. He had his shirt lit on fire. He had his camp tent urinated on. And two students were heard discussing how funny and amusing they thought it would be to dip him in acid. He was simply perceived to be gay, but he did then, and he still continues to self-identify as heterosexual. As a result of that, the Supreme Court of Canada upheld a BC Court of Appeals finding of discrimination against the BC School Board in the homophobic harassment of its students. And it states that the school board did nothing to address the issue of homophobia or homophobic harassment, nor did it implement a program designed to address the issue. The school board did not provide any direction on how to deal with the situation. The administration had inadequate tools and insufficient training to deal with homophobic harassment. And in relation to this, the BC School Trustees Association made a motion that the BC STA encourage and support school district policies that specifically address the safety concerns of and prohibit discrimination against lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgendered identified students, as well as students who are harassed due to the perceptions of their gender identity or sexual orientation. In addition to this, we have the Corin Agreement with the Ministry of Education. I won't read through all of this to you because I'm probably short on time, but this did result in the implementation and the development of the Social Justice 12 curriculum, and in addition to that, the new program, Making Space, Giving Voice, Teaching for Diversity and Social Justice throughout the K-12 curriculum. What has also been called for is a Code of Conduct Ministerial Order, and that took effect in the School Act in 2007. It states that all schools must ensure they have standalone policy that includes a statement that prohibits discrimination as set out in the BC Human Rights Code, a rationale with a focus on safe, caring, and orderly school environments, which is supported by the BC Human Rights Code, which identifies 13 protected grounds under the legislation, 2 of them being sexual gender and sexual orientation. This means that school boards are required to have a clearly written harassment policy stressing the importance of a school culture free from LGBTQ discrimination. It's also very clear that the school board policy must address the issues of seriousness around harassment and bullying, outline procedural guidelines for complaints and investigations, indicate the range of disciplinary actions, and ensure the policy applies to all and is consistently enforced. The school further has a responsibility to inform students and staff on how to address LGBTQ harassment effectively and to implement the policy in a way that is meaningful to all, as well to educate all partner groups and programs on the LGBTQ issues. Education is the key factor. It's essential to creating safe, caring, and orderly schools. And the policy needs to be comprehensive and inclusive. It needs to teach administrators and teachers to in-service on LGBTQ issues. It needs to be age-appropriate for all levels of K-12, and it needs to increase parental awareness of the needs of not only LGBTQ students, but also their families. For those who are working on a policy such as this, we need to be looking forward to policies that can be found on the BCTF website. They will show you that there are policies existing in 16 different communities and districts around the province. There's a great one in Vancouver, which at the end will give you a great dictionary of what all the terminology means. And in addition to that, you'll see a more recent one from the Comox Valley area that I think is actually in many ways better than the one in Vancouver. So there's a wide variety, focused but similar on the same topic, and you'll be able to find these here. The reason I am here this evening is to ask this board to step forward and create policy, to work with the community, to create an LGBTQ committee that will work together on this policy with the hope that it would actually come before this board with the first draft no later than May of 2012. That is the task we set for you. We're willing to work with you. There are community members and families who are willing to work with you. We have a church representative, we have the LTA, and I'm sure there are many other partner groups who would like to work with you should you take up this challenge.
Reach across